So I just finished watching Operation Annihilate. This was a pretty standard episode overall. Um, this is one I feel that had a lot of potential to be even better. And I think the big thing with this one is this would have done really well as like a 2 or 3 part episode. Story arc sort of thing, because there was a lot of great stuff in there and they just kind of touched on it. Basic premise is they go to this planet because there's distress going on, obviously, and it's also the same planet that Kirk's brother lives on. And they get there and they find out that people are kind of going crazy, and there's this alien parasite that's infecting people and it kills them and stuff like that. And apparently, this parasite has been wiping out other planets. Really great setup, alien invasion sort of thing, but not so much from the sky down, but from the inside out sort of idea. Really awesome. And that's where it kind of begins to go downhill, I feel. Because there were some great ideas, and they just didn't follow through too much with it. I didn't feel like the alien menace was really all that terrifying to begin with. It could have been. Part of it, I think, was the design. It was a little cheesy. The second was you just didn't feel the dread. It was more of a talk, don't show situation, and so I wasn't getting that. I wasn't really feeling it. The big turning point in the story is when Spock gets infected with one of these things, and they're trying to figure out, because Kirk's brother has died and his wife has died, and all that's left is their son, James Kirk's nephew, and they're trying to figure out how to save him and save Spock. And again, like I said, this is where it really would have served better as like a 2, maybe even a 3-part story arc, because they try to cram in so much into the 50 minutes. They had to deal with the initial mystery, getting there, finding the people are crazy, finding the aliens, finding Jim's brother dead, figuring out that these parasites are doing, where they're coming from, what they're after. They're kind of they're impervious to the phaser weapons. Spock getting infected. I mean, it's all this stuff, and it's just little tiny bits of it. They really could have played up the whole thing with Kirk's brother dying. Here we have our main character. His brother is dead, and it's like 30 seconds. That could have been a big thing. We really could have seen some incredible character development. Let's see what William Shatner can really do when he has to deal with some major grief like this. Let's add some depth to the character of Kirk, because we don't know anything about his family. We don't know anything about where he comes from. We just kind of know what we see on the screen so far. This would have been a great opportunity to develop that character even more. I felt that was lost. Like I said, the aliens before, missed opportunity. There could have been a whole lot more there. When they finally do figure out how to defeat them, it's with light, because they figure these creatures are all hiding in the shadow. Okay, cool. I can buy that. That's a solid reason. And so they test it out on Spock, and this was cool. I like that. They test it out on Spock, and it kills the thing, but it also blinded him. And I was like, wow, okay, that's cool. Some major consequences. And then they take it a step further and they find out that it wasn't the visible light spectrum that killed them. It was something that we don't normally pick up. And so Spock didn't need to be blinded at all. Wow, that's heavy. I really like that. That Bones messed up in a sense. And because of that, Spock is now blind. Really great. Wow, that's awesome storytelling. And then they have a total cop-out at the end. That, oh yeah, Spock has like an inner eyelid because Vulcan has like a stronger sun and it protected him. Really? You have all this build-up and, oh yeah, whatever, I'm not blind anymore. Missed opportunity. That, I think, would have been a great cliffhanger to end on, is Spock being blind. Even better yet, like a cliffhanger for the end of this season. And I guess mid-60s, they really weren't doing that in television shows, having the big epic cliffhanger at the end of each season, which would drive people crazy because now you have to wait like 8 months to find out what happens. Which is kind of the norm now, with whether it's science fiction or fantasy or drama, television. They all do everything, from shows like Lost to The Shield. That's kind of the standard now, is you end in a huge cliffhanger. I think that would have been awesome. You end season 1 with Spock being blind. Really cool. But yeah, they just kind of wrap up everything with a nice, neat little bow at the end of the last, like, 3 minutes. Again, this is why I think it would have worked so much better as a two-parter. You establish all this death and chaos in the first part. Maybe end with Spock being blind at the end of the first episode. Spend most of the second episode with a blind Spock. That would have been really cool. See Leonard Nimoy really develop that character and have Spock, who's always the confident one and always has the answer. And he's kind of the one who, in a sense, shows up Kirk and Bones with his superior intellect, and he's always logical. Let's cripple this character in a sense. Let's really make him a character who's kind of defeated. And because they keep talking about he's half Vulcan, half human, and the emotions and the logic side, let's see him struggle with that. What happens when a Vulcan has a devastating effect like that going on? Is there a logical reason for it? I mean, yes, there is, but how do they deal with that? Maybe trying to come up with a logical reason causes him to go insane. Lots of opportunities, and like I said, they missed it with this one. So, it's not a bad episode. Definitely not the worst, but definitely not the strongest. This falls in the middle of the road. Nothing really stood out overall. I was like, oh man, you got to see this episode for this one reason. At the same time, there's nothing like, oh gosh, this is so awful, avoid it. So, I'm going to give it like a B. Yeah, that's about all I have to say on this one. So, I'm going to go and take a little break, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to record the recap for Season 1. And I will see you guys later.